Going back to work after having a baby is easily one of the hardest things ever. It's something that I personally antagonised about. I worried about it to the point where I got so stressed. I was constantly crying on and off of camera, and it really got me down. So I just wanted to kind of film a video and let you girls know that if you're heading back to work soon, or if your maternity leave is coming to an end, honestly, there is the biggest light at the end of the tunnel, and it is nowhere near as bad as what you probably think it's going to be. I get so many comments and questions and emails asking for advice on like the whole going back to work thing, because I guess you've seen the tears that I cried. And coming from someone that honestly did struggle with it a hell of a lot, it does get easier and it just becomes your routine, it becomes the normal for you. And now I'm at that point where actually it's quite nice to be at work, it's a nice break sometimes, and yeah, it's really difficult leaving your little one. Of course it is, you want to be with them every minute of the day. However, a little bit of adult time, a little bit of adult conversation is actually just what we need. Yeah, I just thought I'd sit down with a cup of coffee and just chat to you and tell you, you know what, it is difficult, and yeah, it is probably worth the stress at the beginning. I'm not gonna make you feel like you're going mental because you're upset about it. I was very upset about it for a long time, but now it's nearly been a year and I'm now at that point where I'm like, okay, it wasn't worth all that stress. I just thought I'd chat with you and just tell you a little bit of advice based on my experience that I think would probably maybe work. It hopefully will work for you. But yeah, obviously I'm no professional, but here we go. My first bit of advice would be to slowly try and adjust your routine now. I mean, if you're due to go back to work in say 2 months, now would be the perfect time to start changing your routine. You don't want any crazy adjustments for baby for a start, and also if you start it now, it will be a lot easier for you. I don't know what your plans are for like childcare and stuff, but if you're planning on sending your one to maybe a childminder or nursery, then maybe think about doing that now. Harrison went to nursery I think about a month or 2 before I started work, because I wanted him to go through that settling in period whilst I was at home, so that if nursery did need me, I was there. And also by the time that I would go back to work, he was already used to it, which thankfully he was. So yeah, that would be my first bit of advice. Just you don't want any crazy shock to the system. You don't want crazy shocks for baby or for you when you eventually do go back. So yeah, that's my first bit of advice. My next bit of advice would be, this sounds really harsh, but you kind of just have to deal with it. You've decided to go back to work for a reason. Whether it's paying the bills, or in my case I wanted to go to work. I didn't want to go to work, I had to go to work to pay for nursery fees. Regardless of whether I was going to be staying at home or going to work, Harrison was going to go to nursery. Whatever your circumstance, you've done it for the right reasons and you just have to stick by that. And remember that you're doing it for not only yourself, your family, your baby, and you know you'd do anything for them. And if that just means going to work, then you kind of just have to get on with it and just suck it up. I know that sounds really harsh, but it's true. You just have to just accept your decision. If going back to work is something that you really don't want to be doing and you're not comfortable with it at all, then make a plan maybe for in a year's time or another 9 months time to reevaluate the situation, because what's happening now you might not necessarily have to do in a year's time. So just make that plan. It gives you something to look forward to. It makes you believe maybe that this isn't going to be the situation forever, and try and work towards the fact that maybe in a year or two's time it might be a complete different situation, and just keep that in mind. Who knows? Everyone's in a different situation, but just make a plan. Whilst we're on the subject of making plans, make as many plans as you can, whether it's going to soft play on the weekend or going to the park after work before the sun goes down, or a little weekend getaway, just make plans so that you've got something to look forward to. Being at work when you do go back at the beginning, it is really difficult, but having those little thoughts might just help you a little bit and get you through your day, get you through your week. I think, you know what, this is bloody tough, but in a month's time we're going away and we're going to have the best time ever. So yeah, definitely make as many plans as possible, and when them plans do come around, make sure that you just cherish that time with your little one. It's so easy, and I'm the worst for it. It's so easy to get on your phone and just keep scrolling while they're playing around you, but just get on the floor with them, play with them, and just, I don't know, just cherish every single minute possible. Try. I know this is so much easier said than done, but try your hardest to ditch that bloody mum guilt. That is gonna, oh god, mum guilt is gonna travel the whole way through this whole motherhood journey with us, or fatherhood. It's gonna get us everywhere, in every way possible. It gets me on a daily basis, but when it comes to going back to work, try and ditch it. I still do feel guilty on occasions. The other day Harrison was asking for me when I wasn't here, which was probably the first time that he's been like, mama, when I've not been there, that I'm aware of anyway. And it got me, it really did get me. But it's honestly not worth torturing yourself about. At the end of the day, okay, people that know me that are watching this are going to be like, alright Laura. At the end of the day, work is only work. You go home to your babies. Try not to torture yourself too much when you're away, because it's just not worth it. Yeah, ditch that bloody mum guilt, because it's the worst. But yeah, if you're really not okay, of course, then just talk to someone. Don't try and make out like you're okay. We've all been there and it is not worth it. In my experience, I found that babies really adjust to things pretty well. We don't give them enough credit at all. But toddlers are clever little things, and they will try and play you. Harrison quite often tries to play me now, and I'm a sucker for it. I do fall for it, but try not to. The tears that you'll see maybe when they go to nursery, or you leave them with their childminder or whoever, 5 minutes after that, honestly, promise, 5 minutes after that they're off playing, happy, and they're clever little things. So yeah, try not to be fooled for that old trick. Something that I have found that I struggled with, that kind of shocked me because I didn't think I was that way inclined, but I felt a little bit bitter towards friends of mine and mummy friend peers that were stay-at-home mums. They'd be like, oh yeah, it's so nice to stay at home, blah blah blah, I've not got to go to work, I'm not in a situation where I've got to go to work. And I kind of felt a little bit of resentment, or I just was a bit like, good for you. But try not to feel that, because since talking to some of my friends and people on YouTube and stuff, I've realised that actually they feel the same about working mums too. It's really easy for us to look at it and be like, oh, they get to be at home with the baby every single day, blah blah blah, but they also have to go through the tantrums every single day. And I know from talking to my friends that they've been like, you know what, sometimes I wish I was at work. It's not easy for any of us. We're all going through this whole motherhood journey together, we're all in the same boat, and whether we're working or not working, we're all in the same situation, that is mum. And yeah, just kind of just support each other regardless of situation. There's no point in being jealous that somebody gets to stay at home, because ultimately they're going through the breakfast and the lunches and the horrible dinner routines. So yeah, not bitter at all, maybe a bit. Just remember that work is work, you're doing it for a reason, and I know you wouldn't put yourself in that situation where you're leaving your baby if you didn't have to. So just keep that in mind. It might not be like this forever, guys, but just try and be easy on yourself. That's great coming from me, who literally cried a hell of a lot of tears on camera, cried on the car journey to work for a hell of a long time, and was a bit of a nightmare to live with because of the whole situation. But you know what, just try and be strong. It gets easier, I promise you. I wouldn't promise if I didn't mean it. And as always, if you do want to chat, or if you want to send me a message or a comment, whatever, you can do. I'm always here. Sometimes I'm not always here, I'm sometimes flying, working, but I'm here, and I'll always chat to you and tell you. I'll be the one to tell you that it does get better if you need it. But yeah, I hope you didn't mind this little casual chat. I'd love to know your situation. Are you going back to work? Are you just starting back at work? Is your maternity leave coming to an end? Let me know your thoughts on the whole situation and comment below. Give this video a thumbs up, share to people that may be in that situation, and I'll see you soon. Bye guys.